everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jen and today I'm in the kitchen and we're going to do some zucchini preservation. So I've got 3 different recipes that I'm going to share with you today to use up all that zucchini if you have an abundance of it. The 3 recipes that I'm going to share with you is my zucchini relish. Now my zucchini relish is the recipe. I tweaked it a little bit the first time I tried it because I didn't have one of the ingredients, nutmeg. I didn't have that, so I used a different ingredient instead, and I'll share that with you. And then the second time I made the recipe the proper way with the nutmeg, and I gotta tell you, my tweaking made it 10 times better. It was actually a lot better. So I'm gonna share with you today what my recipe is because everybody enjoyed it a lot more the first time around. I'm also going to share with you a new recipe that a good friend of mine, Kim, shared with me. She messaged me and told me, here's a good way to use up your zucchini. I'd never heard of it before. I was super excited when she shared it with me. I was like, oh my gosh, really? I bet that is good. Mock apple pie. So you chop up your zucchini like you would apples and you make an apple pie with it. She said that she entered her pie into, was it a state fair or a county fair? I'll have to look back at the messages, but she said she won, I think first place. Was it first place? But she won something, and so it must have been good. It's got a really good topping. I haven't tried it, I've never tried it before, but the topping that you put on the top of it probably is gonna, it just sounds like it's up my alley because it sounds sweet, very sweet, like a sweet apple pie, and I'm excited to try it to see if I can fool some people in my family to not realizing that it's zucchini and not apples. The third recipe is my tried and true zucchini bread recipe. I guess maybe what I'll do is I'll fit in, I prepped the zucchini relish last night, and I'll go ahead and put that clip in right here of what the recipe is and how I go about getting it ready to put it in the jars.
Bowl here. I got this at TJ Maxx, I think it was, or Ross or something. I have one that's this big and one that's just a little bit smaller. But this is what I use them for, is when I can, lots of stuff together. So the first step of this recipe, the zucchini relish, is to shred up the zucchini, chop up your onions, and chop up your peppers. So I'll put the recipe up on the screen. I doubled it, so this is double what you're seeing right now. Big bowl of stuff. And I still have some zucchini that I think I'm gonna make zucchini bread with, but the recipe calls for canning salt. I don't have any canning salt, so I'm gonna use what I do have, ice cream salt. I don't think it really matters. What you're doing is you're gonna put the salt on here, and basically it's gonna help draw out some of the moisture because you want the zucchini not to be watery. You want it to absorb the flavor of the brine that you're going to can it in. I'm actually going to put the salt on it, stir this all up really good, and then I'm going to let it sit on the counter overnight until I wake up in the morning, and then I'm going to rinse it really good. All right, it's the next morning, and you can see it has drawn out a ton of moisture. So then it was time to rinse it all off. So I did it in batches, and I would just run the water, stir it around, really making sure you rinse it well because you don't want a big salty mess. And then this is what it looks like when it's all rinsed up. This is about how much you end up with. So it actually draws out enough moisture that it really condenses it down.
Okay, so then this morning after I had done that last part where I drained it and really squeezed out all the water and rinsed it really well, rinsed off all the salt. And by the way, that rock salt was just fine. It disintegrated into the liquid of the zucchini and the onions and everything within the first couple stirs. And then I rinsed it all off this morning. And then I put it in a big bowl, the bowl I think I showed you. I put it in a big bowl and I covered the bowl, and then I sat it in the fridge because I did that at 6:30 in the morning this morning, and it's now almost 6 o'clock and I'm just now getting to the canning part. What I have gotten done so far. So I've jarred up the zucchini relish. We're gonna make the brine for it, but it's all in it's a little messy. The jars will get wiped. They look messy, but I got 5 of the, what is this, 3/4 of a pint? 5 of those and 5 of the half pints.
This is a double recipe, so I think I've put the recipe up on the screen, and this is what you get when you do a double recipe. That's ready. We'll do the brine for that later. The first thing I think I'm going to show you is the zucchini bread. So these are the dry ingredients. I'll put what's in this bowl up on the screen. I'm doing a triple recipe, so it's 3 times whatever you see on the screen. And then, so in here is the zucchini that's going to go into the zucchini bread recipe once I've got all of the wet ingredients. So this is the wet ingredients. Let's get it all front and center here. Now this bowl is probably not big enough, but I'm going to need to mix this all up. So I'll put on the screen what all I have in here as far as wet ingredients. So it's the wet ingredients times 3. When I make my zucchini bread or anything, even with the apple pie filling, I'm going to do it too. The little yellow like zucchinis or the yellow squash, I put those in there too. So they will, the flavor, it's so mild that it really absorbs whatever flavor you're cooking it into. So I've got some of the yellow squash. I've got some tromboncino squash. And then this here is for the apple pie filling. So this is, I'll put up on the screen how many cups of zucchini this is. So it's got the yellow squash, it's got tromboncino squash. Any of the squash that the outside felt a little tougher, I peeled and then I cut up. So just a quick clip here of how I'm cutting up the zucchini for the apple pie. So I cut it lengthwise and then I cut it again. So there's like 4 quarters. And then I just slice it thinly like this, kind of like you would apples for an apple pie. Cutting this all up and seeing how many cups I can get. I'm trying to double the recipe, or actually quadruple the recipe, so I can make 1 pie and then have enough to can 2 or 3 quarts, but we shall see, because I'm also in the process of shredding zucchini for zucchini bread. And from what I've read some reviews. The apple pie recipe is from a friend, but I did look it up on the internet to see about the canning process. I wanted to read some reviews, and I did catch a couple of tips. One was that a couple of people said they did not like using their really large zucchinis, the ones that are a little tougher. Those ones are really good for the zucchini bread. So I've got a couple of those, and those are going to get used for the shredding of the zucchini bread. But for the apple pie, they said that the zucchini was too tough, and it tasted it made it taste a little different and have a different texture. So you want to use your like prime zucchini, the kind that you would use in other dishes that you would cook and eat, like zucchini casserole, something like that. So that's what I'm using. I'm using the more tender for the apple pie, and then the overgrown ones, the ones that are a little tougher for the zucchini bread, because you can't tell the difference with the zucchini bread because it's shredded up so finely. And then over here are the dry ingredients. So I'll put up on the screen what is in this bowl. And then this is going to be the topping. So it's 1 stick of butter, 1 cup of sugar, I believe, is it brown sugar? Yeah, brown sugar underneath there, and 1 cup of flour. So that's what the topping is going to be when you go to top your pie. And then I just used a store-bought pie crust and then stuck it in my pie pan. And first, I'm going to get started with cooking up the zucchini for the apple pie filling. So it said, in her recipe, it said to cook in a small amount of water, but I actually had some apple juice. So I thought I'd cook it up in some apple juice. So you're supposed to cook it about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, I'm guessing, until like it, it's softened up a bit. We're going to gracefully, whoops, put this down. Put this all into the pot here, and we're going to start cooking it. And then once it's cooked down, you add all the other ingredients and cook them until it's nice and thick. All right, so we're going to get that going. Just going to give it a little bit of a stir here. I think that's enough apple juice. I actually had some little some of these little Mott's apple juices, and I put 1 in and then 1 and then another half because I drank half of it, but I don't know, you could probably do 2. Might not be enough liquid in there, but that's what I used. While that cooks, we're going to start working on the banana bread. Come back over and stir up the wet ingredients, and then we're going to add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients, and at the very end you add your zucchini. And then I get these in bulk from Amazon. these are what I'm gonna use. I actually pulled out my last one, my last zucchini bread. This was a banana zucchini bread, and I pulled it out and it's already got a big chunk missing from it, like that much. That's just from this morning. All right, so let's get this stirred up. So I did try to stir it up in this bowl, but it was just too full to do it in, so I did end up transferring it to a bigger bowl. There was no way I was gonna be able to add the flour to it, so.
So if you have any recipes with zucchini that are tried and true in your household, please share them with me in the comments, because I've tried one recipe for zucchini casserole. I need to try some different ones. We didn't really like it, but there's got to be one out there. So if you have like a zucchini casserole that you really, really like. Okay, so not looking appetizing. And then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna slowly add in the flour. This zucchini bread, the recipe that I use, usually the zucchini bread is gone within 2 days. A loaf of it, one of these big loaves, like, it's really good. Okay, so now I've added in the zucchini. I'm gonna stir that in. You can do 325 or 350. I just like to cook mine low and slow. If you do 350, I would say it takes about 50 minutes to an hour for the bigger ones, maybe about 40, 45 for the littler ones. And if you do 325, it takes longer. It's about an hour and 15 minutes for the bigger ones. Now, before you stir in the zucchini, you're gonna think, oh my gosh, this batter is really thick. But as you stir in the zucchini add a little bit of moisture to the batter, and it gets, you know, more runny. Not runny, but you're gonna be like thinking it's like, feels like cookie batter when you first put in all the dry ingredients, but once the zucchini gets added. Now this is the point, once you have your zucchini in there, if you wanted to like add a smashed banana or you add your nuts. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill up these bigger containers first, see how far I get, and see if I can do just a couple of littler containers for myself with some raisins and nuts.
Meanwhile, while I'm doing this, I am going back and stirring up my zucchini for my mock apple pie filling.
That's about what it'll look like when you're ready to put it into the containers. All right, so I'm gonna spray these. I'm gonna do 3 of them. And then I'll see how much is left after I fill these up. So you wanna fill them about 3/4 of the way full. And I always put mine on a cookie tray just in case they overflow. Okay, 1. I think I should be able to do 4 big ones and a few little ones. I filled up those 4. Now I'm gonna add some nuts and raisins. So I'm just gonna do like a handful of pecans. You could do walnuts, whatever nut you like. And store your nuts in the freezer, they'll last a lot longer. So I like these here, it's like a raisin medley. It's got all 3 different colored raisins in it, really pretty. Put some raisins. Stir that up. And we're gonna fill these little ones for me. So who out there is feeling entirely overwhelmed with their harvest? Feels like they planted way too many tomatoes. All the weeds are getting crazy. You're not the only one. I've had to tell myself on a couple of occasions to chill out. What gets done gets done and what doesn't. Like, things are gonna be a little bit messier this time of year. Your house, your yard. Yeah, you just gotta, you know, give yourself a little grace this time of year, because, you know, it's okay. It's okay if you don't, everything's not perfect. If you're getting tired and you just want to say, I'm done. You're not the only one who's in that boat. So these are all ready to go in the oven. All right, so put these on here. Put them in the oven. Big ones for an hour and 15 minutes, little ones for probably about 40-45 minutes. So the two recipes, the apple pie filling recipe and the zucchini relish recipe, apparently it's not deemed safe to can zucchini anymore. I'm gonna do it anyways. So this is some Rebel canning. I've never had a problem with it. I actually added lemon juice to the apple pie filling just to be sure that it was, you know, had enough acidity to water bath can. So, okay, so in the pot right there, the squash has been cooking about 15 minutes. So now I'm gonna add in all of the ingredients that make the apple pie filling. So we're just gonna dump that in the pot and cook it until it's reached like the thickness of, you know, what an apple pie would look like. It's nice and runny right now, but that cream of tartar is what will thicken up the sauce. So this is what it looks like. It's runny, but it will get thick like, you know, apple pie filling does, but that's what it looks like cooked. Whoop. Sorry about that. And we're just gonna turn the heat down just a little bit once it comes back to a boil and kind of simmer it until it thickens up. We're gonna get started with the zucchini relish. Sorry, it's in like the evening, the sun's going down, so there's like shadows everywhere, I'm sorry. So we're gonna get started with the brine with the zucchini. So I have packed these, not super tight, but I did kind of smash them down a little bit so I could get everything to fill the jars. You leave a 1/2 inch of head space when you add the brine to these, but let's make the brine first. So I think I showed you the ingredients for the brine, but I'll put them up on the screen again. They're all in here, plus a big old thing of vinegar. So we're gonna get this on a heater as well and get this going. So you just bring this to a boil and incorporate this, cook it for just a few minutes, you know, boiling, and then you're gonna let it cool a little bit and then add it to the jars that you have packed. So once you have the brine, I'm still waiting for it to come up to a boil, but this is what it looks like when it's all kind of incorporated. That turmeric gives it that color, and it really makes the zucchini relish have a beautiful color when it's canned too. All right, I've got my canning tools. All ready. This is the debubbler. The brine has cooked. It's ready to be added to the jars. Measuring cup, and we're gonna slowly add up to a 1/2 inch of head space the brine. And if you have any brine left over, what I did last time was I actually just canned the brine, and then I reused the brine. The next time I wanted to can like hot peppers, like I'll can hot peppers, or I'll can just straight up sweet peppers. This stuff is just, the brine to this is just amazing, and on peppers, hot, sweet, it's just really good. So because I have it packed really well, I want to make sure I get it nice and debubbled. That's good. So I'm just going to keep doing that for each one. Then I'm going to, I always double wipe the rims. So I clean the rim really well with one paper towel, and I go and I do all of them. And then I'll go back with another paper towel again and wipe it again with the second paper towel, because I really, you know, I want these to seal. And I use vinegar. I don't know if I said that. The lid on. Not too tight, just tight enough that you don't want to wrench it tight, but there's one jar ready to go. I think it's for, is it 10 minutes, 15 minutes? It's not very long. This is one of the easy things to can because you can water bath can it and it doesn't take very long. I'll put up the correct amount of time. Headspace, 1/2 inch. Boiling water. You want to bring it to a boil. That's when you start your timer. So you put your jars in and then you watch the water. Once it comes to a boil, then you start your timer.
All right, guys, so the apple pie filling has cooked down quite a bit, and I'm hoping I can get 1 pie and 1 canning jar of apple pie filling. So I'm going to fill up my canning jar with the apple pie filling first, and then I'll fill up my pie filling with what's left. And I forgot to show you, I did put all of the jars of zucchini relish, all except 1. So I'll just stick that in with the apple pie filling because, you know, it needs a water bath can too. And the apple pie filling is going to be quart and the pint, so it'll get done around the same time. I'm just waiting for it to come up to a boil. I was actually able to fill the pie as well as 2 quarts of apple pie filling. So we'll be canning those here soon, but I did take out the 3 small zucchini breads. They were the ones with nuts and raisins. So I'm letting them cool. Still waiting for that to come up to a boil. And I need to do that mess. Put the topping on the pie while we wait. And the pie goes into 425 for 45 minutes. But there's what the topping mixture looks like. So that's 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of sugar, or brown sugar, and 1 cup or 1/2 cup of butter. So a stick of butter. And I'm just going to put that all over the top. And I'm just going to use my hands. They're clean. I've been washing them because some of the stuff I've been doing is kind of sticky. So this is what I think is going to make it delicious, is this topping. Oh my gosh. It's like a crumble. All right, and I will show you guys what the finished product is and taste test this for you. Doop. Now I got to get to the dishes. Okay, there is the pie. It's a little messy, boiled over. That's why I always put it on a cookie pan, because the cookie pan caught all the dribbles. All of the zucchini breads are done, and all of the relish and the other 2 apple pie fillings are canned up. And then there's the 2 extra brines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those, 6 of the smaller ones, 2 cans of brine, 2 cans of apple pie filling. Not a bad haul for one day. And now we're going to taste test the zucchini apple pie. And then I'm just going to aluminum foil these now that they've cooled and put them in the freezer. Is that going to be good for the 2 of us, or you want more? I have my daughter with me. She's going to try it out.
Now, it's not the prettiest slice, but we only wanted like a tiny little bite. So this is zucchini apple pie. So instead of apples...
No apples in this?
No, just zucchini.
Yeah, but... Did you, like, put apple pie filling in it or something?
You're just making a dang mess. It's like you would make apple pie, except no apples, you use a zucchini. Oh, hot.
No, let mine cool down.
Mmm. I cannot tell the difference. That's really good.
Yeah.
Wait, if you didn't know,
apples already healthy though, so it's like, why?
well, because you want to use up zucchini, extra zucchini that you have.
Okay.
So like I canned a couple, I could make 2 more pies.
Yeah.
Because I had zucchini and I don't know what to do with it because it was starting to go bad. So you make yourself some of this. Like
yeah. Did you tell Daddy about it?
Mmm. Mmm. That topping is so good. It's good.
Tastes like apple pie.
Tastes like apple pie.
Okay.
So, thank you, Kim. That new recipe that you sent me is delicious. I love it. And
well, I suppose when you coat it in sugar, I mean,
let me know if you try any of these recipes or you have tried them. And give it a thumbs up if you liked it. And I'll catch you in the next one. Enjoy your day. Bye.